Keir Starmer's Shadow Minister for Sewage, James Ignatius O'Rourke McMahon, would have, well, not the people of the town, because the people of this town know the truth. McMahon would have people outside of this town believe that he is some sort of crusader against the grooming gangs, and that he was determined to do everything possible to stop them. Well, the evidence suggests something completely different took place.
Do not fear them. Do not fear any of them.
I like how I'm still providing not just value to all of you, but angst to all of those who would rather I wasn't here. Indeed, Raymond. Good evening, Greater Manchester Police and the Labour Party stooges, and in particular, Neil Willabooby. I hear Neil Willaboobies has now got a Buy Me a Coffee page. And not only that, he's published himself out there, he's put himself out there as the liar for hire. That's right, isn't it, Neil Willaboobies? The liar for hire. The malicious blogger, proven liar, and as described by a High Court judge as a witness of low credibility. I think that's short from just calling him an outright liar. Is now apparently only going to write on Oldham when someone pays him to. Can't help himself, can you, Neil? Neil. Any man, woman, I'm not sure what the transgender definition is in terms of identity, is man, woman, transitional person, whatever it is. Any individual, any human being who is on the side of protecting the politicians that covered up the grooming and gang rape of our town's children is on the wrong side. I hear he's still continuing with his nonsense that I am not from Oldham. Well, mate, where the hell are you from? Let's get on with this evening's transmission. Hiya, Nikki. Oh yeah, Nikki, please thank you, Nikki, of course. Please like, please share. These transmissions are still free to air. I know some of you have signed up to the YouTube channel for the 99p membership, of which I will get 66 pence. And I'll put it all towards a Christmas kitty, by the way. So if we do go behind the paywall, that's what I'll do with the YouTube money.
This administration has got a clear vision for the next 4 years, and we've got a cabinet team and a wider group of councillors who are committed and determined to deliver the things local people have told us are important to them. We've also got an officer team fully on board with the priorities I've set and with the people of this borough need, and with what the people of this borough need. What we now need is a wider team of elected members, of politicians to come together for the good of the borough we all serve. We need to stop talking down this town. We need to stop driving division and disrespect and focus on what's important in improving the lives of the local people that we're here to represent. Everyone who has stood to be a councillor has done so with the right intentions, with the aim of making life better for Oldhamers. We may disagree on how we do that, but our ambition for the town and its people is something that we all share. I hope, Mr Mayor, that this municipal year we can all bear that shared ambition, those shared values in mind as we interact with each other. That we will do with respect for each other's opinions, for each other's roles, and that we are able to constrain our criticism to policy and not personality, whether that's here in the chamber or in the world of social media. I think we owe it to the people of Oldham to set an example of conduct that they would wish to follow in their own debates and in their own discussions. With that in mind, I've been heartened by the good wishes I have received from across the political divide over the last week, and would like to thank all those who have reached out to welcome me back into the council back as leader. The flowers, emails and cards have meant a lot to me. What I will promise to you, Mr Mayor, and my fellow councillors is that, as well as to the people we serve, is that I will do my very best for this town that we all love. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Councillor Shah. Item 10, appointment of deputy leaders, cabinet members and deputy cabinet.
Who wrote that speech for her? Who wrote that speech for her? That's what I want asking. Because it wasn't her. She's claiming she's got a clear vision. She's got a clear vision. She doesn't elaborate what her clear vision is, but claims that her officer team are fully on board. Later, she has to then confirm that the chief executive is doing a runner. A clear vision without a chief executive. And she's begging the wider team of politicians to sign up with her. Well, that's Abdul Jabbar sat next to her. Let's just bring that photograph back up so you can see it. That's him sat next to her. He's not on board at all because she's just sacked him as the deputy leader. Sacked him as the deputy leader and, of course, put her boy from Glodwick, Sahid Mushtaq, as the deputy leader of Oldham Council. So God only knows what her clear vision is. We have a clear vision of her with the orange outfit on. Orange? I thought it was salmon pink. Oh my. Oh my. Let me bring something else up. Just give me 1 second. Please like, please share, please please, if you find value in the transmissions, consider buying a cup of coffee. Whilst let me just find something else and bring it up. Ignore the text underneath, please, for now, but I want you to listen to this. And I want to talk about this.
I have not yet been formally appointed as leader of the council, but as leader-elect, it falls upon me to update the council that our chief executive, Harry Cathro, will be retiring and therefore leaving us at the end of this year. When I was seeking a new chief executive for Oldham in 2021, Harry was clear in agreeing to come that he had returned to public service from retirement and that he couldn't stay forever, however much I might have wanted him to. At that time, Harry committed to leading Oldham until after this year's all-out elections, setting us in good stead with a brand new council. I asked him to stabilise the organisation, to help me shake up the culture, and to set a clear path for the future as we came out of the pandemic and meet the increasing needs driven by the emerging cost of living crisis. I also asked him to really focus on basic service delivery across the organisation and to help improve our relationship and reputation with the people that we serve. In the last 2 years, Harry has delivered on all of those priorities and is now already developing a plan to deliver on the new priorities that I have set out for the town, which I'm sure will be delivered with that same commitment and dedication he always provides to our borough. Last week, we had discussed Harry's plan to retire and agreed that he would stay to oversee the recruitment of a new chief executive for Oldham and to help them settle into their new role, so that the transition would be as seamless as possible and so that the journey of improvement he has set the borough on would continue uninterrupted. We want to find the best replacement for Harry, who has been an amazing servant to Oldham, and we know that the process will take time. We'll be looking to start the recruitment process over the next few weeks, with Harry remaining in post until the end of the year. Thank you, Harry.
Do you think they believe the lies that come out of their mouths, or the alternate reality of the conversations they've had? Let me bring something up. And of course, Abdul Jabbar was laughing his head off. I'll try not to laugh his head off. So that's why you've got to have a look at the when the mayor was scowling, when Dr. ZAHID CHAUHAN, who's cancelled your prayers, was scowling. He was actually scowling, not at the direction of Arooj Shah. He was scowling at the direction of Abdul Jabbar and no doubt others who perhaps were trying their best to keep a straight face. Shape up the culture. Shape up the culture. They advertise, they use recruitment companies, they use high-level strategic recruitment companies, Jack. And in many ways, it is a done deal already, Lynn, I would imagine. They've already got a long list, because these people find a long list for them. And of course, when they appointed Harry Caffrell, it was a temporary appointment, but Arooj Shah isn't being honest. You know, this claim about staying on until after this year's election. I'm going to play the speech again. I want you to listen to this bit because I want to pull something up.
As leader of the council, but as leader-elect, it falls upon me to update the council that our chief executive, Harry Caffrell, will be retiring and therefore leaving us at the end of this year. When I was seeking a new chief executive for Oldham in 2021, Harry was clear in agreeing to come that he had returned to public service from retirement and that he couldn't stay forever, however much I might have wanted him to. At that time, Harry committed to leading Oldham until after this year's all-out elections.
Okay, at the time when she first appointed him, her words, you can see for yourself, she's claiming that he's committed to staying until after the all-out elections. This is the Oldham Chronicle story from the 11th of January 2022. At the time, Arooj Shah was standing for re-election doing the Meet the Leader stuff. Council leader Arooj Shah said, Harry's 3-year fixed-term appointment. There you see. The committee unanimously appointed Harry Caffrell for a further 3 years from the 1st of April 2022, with a decision pending approval at the next council meeting, which they got, yeah? So on the from the 1st of April 2022, that's just 12 months ago, he was given a 3-year extension. Harry's 3-year fixed-term appointment offers the stability we need to deliver on our key priorities for the residents of Oldham. This is Arooj Shah's words, her own words. This is a direct quote. Council leader Arooj Shah said, Harry's 3-year fixed-term appointment offers the stability we need to deliver on our key priorities for the residents of Oldham. He's been appointing during a challenging time with COVID and a new budget to balance, but he's shown drive, determination and real commitment to delivering great public service for local people, and has prioritised the things that people really care about. Harry's 3-year fixed-term appointment offers the stability we need to deliver on our key priorities for the residents of Oldham. This is Arooj Shah's quote from the 11th of January 2022. The first act Arooj Shah has, when coming in, is to announce that this 3-year stability that she wanted is now no longer going to happen. Did she sack him? Or has he just quit? It's one or the other. It's one or the other. But either way, she's not telling us the truth, is she? She started as she ended. She's not telling us the truth because she's contradicting herself. And so there's no ambiguity. Let's play it again so there's no ambiguity in this. This is what she said.
As leader-elect, it falls upon me to update the council that our chief executive, Harry Caffrell, will be retiring and therefore leaving us at the end of this year. When I was seeking a new chief executive for Oldham in 2021, Harry was clear in agreeing to come that he had returned to public service from retirement and that he couldn't stay forever, however much I might have wanted him to. At that time, Harry committed to leading Oldham until after this year's all-out elections, setting us in good stead with a brand...
Committed to staying with the council until after the all-out elections. She's describing it. This is the leader of your council, describing what has took place as though this was what was planned. Yet, 12 months ago, when he signed a 3-year extension to his contract, the reason she gave for him signing the 3-year extension was to provide stability to deliver on the strategic outcomes that this town needed. This woman is taking you all for fools from a Pakistani stronghold of Glodwick, because that's where she's based. That's where her core vote comes from. She's reading a pre-written script. Maybe the original quote wasn't from her, and that's why she can't remember. But she's taking all of you for fools. Now, what I find really, really interesting in all of this isn't just that contradiction. It's everything I've read since. Let me bring up Charlotte Green's article and what was breaking at the time. Breaking news. Chief Executive of Oldham Council to leave authority by the end of the year. That's his photograph. Joined as an interim chief executive in August 2021 before being made the permanent head of paid service. So here they're going further than saying just a 3-year extension, because a 3-year then means certain legal conditions kick in. He'd been made the permanent head of the council, the permanent chief executive. Apparently he's retiring after signing a 3-year extension just over a year ago. Mr. Caffrell replaced Carolyn Wilkins, who ran away, who left the role after more than 12 years working at the local authority in the months after Arooj Shah first became council leader 2 years ago. So here's Carolyn Wilkins, who didn't want to work with her, or whatever it was, decided that Arooj Shah couldn't keep her chief executive. So this is the second chief executive gone. The council will now go out to recruit a new permanent chief executive who can take over when Mr. Caffrell leaves in December. Do you think anyone's going to take any attention, pay any attention, or take any leadership from someone they know is leaving in 6 months' time? All of you work. What happens when you know the boss is quitting? Do you think any of his strategic priorities will be carried through? No. You know why not? Because when the new chief executive comes in, you expect him or her, remember you're paying these people £250,000 a year, they will have their own clear vision of how to deliver what they do. They will bring their own people in. That's Saeed Osman. Do you think we went out and hired some Pakistani bloke to go out there and hang out with their Asian businessmen and take his photographs as a deputy chief executive? No, of course not. Harry brought him in from Blackburn. Same with Carolyn Wilkins. She brought her deputy in from wherever she brought, is it Rossendale? Yeah. Paying tribute to his work in the borough, leader councillor Shah said, Harry Caffrell has been an amazing servant to Oldham. What a low bar we have. An amazing servant to Oldham. What has he done that has been so amazing? And I know I speak on behalf of all of us at the council when I say we wish him all the best for his retirement. Upon joining us in 2021, Harry was clear that he had returned to public service from retirement and couldn't stay forever. Misleading us, isn't she? Misleading us. If that was the case, why did he sign a 3-year extension? I asked him to stabilise the organisation. Is this a council that is stabilised? And if she'd asked him to stabilise the organisation, is that an admittance that it was a council out of control? Is Arooj Shah agreeing with me? It is a council out of control. If she's asking, or if she'd asked the chief executive to stabilise the council, is that an acknowledgement that it was not stable? To set a clear path for the future. What is Oldham's clear path for the future? I'm genuinely asking. If Harry's done an amazing job, what is our clear path for the future? Let's see what happened after, in the year Arooj Shah wasn't in control, those 12 months. The clear path for the future exposed the grooming gang report that proved that this council failed to protect and safeguard working class white girls from Pakistani rape gangs. Proved That took place because the council's leader had to apologise, as did the police chief constable. It proved that the council was involved in handing out contracts to its own elected officials, companies involving its own elected officials, hundreds of thousands of pounds. It proved that Prince's Gate had collapsed and that they couldn't even get a Lidl and a travel lodge there to take a risk there. And it's also proved that the council chamber was in chaos, with councillors leaking private information to malicious bloggers, council officers running away, absolute chaos. So I'm not sure what the clear path for the future is. I'm not sure what it is at all. And apparently he focused on basic service delivery. He's done all that and more. What I want to focus on isn't what Arooj Shah has to say and how she contradicts herself, although that is, in a normal town, that would be a scandal in its own right. What I want to focus on is how Harry Caffrell has absolutely nothing to say for himself. I can only share with you what I've been told and my reading of body language and the situation as it's being played out in the public domain. She's kicked him out. She's drop kicked him out. What is it about blaming your tools? She's got rid of him. She's drop kicked him out. That's what I reckon. And have a look at his face at the end. I'll play it again. Have a look at his face at the end.
Last week, we had discussed Harry's plan to retire and agreed that he would stay to oversee the recruitment of a new chief executive for Oldham and to help them settle into their new role, so that the transition would be as seamless as possible and so that the journey of improvement he has set the borough on would continue uninterrupted. We want to find the best replacement for Harry, who has been an amazing servant to Oldham, and we know that the process will take time. We'll be looking to start the recruitment process over the next few weeks, with Harry remaining in post until the end of the year. Thank you, Harry.
Have a look at his face. Have a look at his face. Is that a man who is going because he wants to? Retiring? After the exposure of the cover-up of the grooming and gang rape of children? That's what he's retiring with on his resume. What will they write in your obituary, Harry Caffrell? What will they write? Yes, Lynn, that is a man ruined. That's what that face looks like to me. That's what that face looks like to me. The face of a man ruined. Chauhan with his death stares towards, those glaring eyes towards any dissenting faces. And if you watched some of that council meeting, this was the first council meeting of the year, the mayor making ceremony. Just have a look. I'll just play it backwards and just pause it.
And is now.
Have a look at Abdul Jabbar's face. Have a look at Marie Bashforth's face. They don't want to be there. They are very, very uncomfortable. You can see it. They're very, very uncomfortable. This is a council on the brink of collapse. And Lynn is right. We need the government to come in as soon as possible. We most definitely need the government to come in before they appoint a chief executive. Which takes me on to what I want to focus on this evening. Now, we can all have fun and games with Arooj Shah, and I'm sure we will all have fun and games with Arooj Shah. You've all seen the Sunday Mail and Sunday article. It was followed up by a Twitter whistleblower, a police whistleblower called Cabal of Corruption. I put it out on my Facebook page last night. And we've all heard the rumours about the relationship between Arooj Shah and Irish Image. I try not to focus on the rumours of people's personal lives, but the issue for me is whether or not you are being honest when conveying the nature of that relationship in the public, to the public. And Arooj Shah is on record as describing him as her childhood friend from the age of 11. And she's on record saying that only after I released the photographs of her and Irish Image. So let's not pretend that she came out with details of her friendship because she wanted to. It's because we released a series of photographs. Now I can share with you how I think I got those photographs. I don't believe they came from her phone or Irish Image's phone. I think they came from another woman's phone who found those photographs. But Cabal of Corruption, a whistleblowing Twitter page, has come out and made, it's not even an allegation. He, she, I don't know who they are, has come out and said that Arooj Shah, the leader of Oldham Council, and the convicted heroin dealing getaway driver of the cop killer Dale Cregan are lovers and quite possibly married under some form of Islamic tradition, which means that there wouldn't be a marriage certificate and that Irish Image could still have his first wife and Arooj Shah would be his Islamically second wife. Now, I cannot confirm, deny any of that because I've not looked into any of that. When people have offered me information on that, I've just shrugged my shoulders and moved on. But with it now being in the public domain the way it is, I think it's imperative for the leader of the council to confirm or clarify, because this man is glued to her hip. In all the photographs I've seen of her in the campaign and the celebrations afterwards, he's next to her. That's not the photograph of a friend. I see my friends at parties every now and then, but I have my photograph with other people here and there. No. Arooj Shah has claimed that Irish Image is her childhood friend from the age of 11. She stood up in the council chamber and made that assertion. In subsequent Meet the Leader events, she elaborated and made reference to him as a family friend. I think Lynn Kovacs asked a question. Well, now the claim from outside is that it is something else. And I'm sorry, it is in the public interest. You're the leader of the town. You clearly have some form of relationship with one of the most dangerous criminals this town has ever produced. The leader of Oldham Council, both in her capacity as Oldham Council leader as well as in her capacity as portfolio holder for Andy Burnham, is privy to a whole host of confidential information, sensitive information. I mean, come on, what's going to happen? Is the interviews for the new chief executive, is the shortlisting going to take place at 24 mocktails? Sipping a mocktail, smoking some shisha, looking at the who's on the shortlist? How does it work? Likewise, if I was a gangster, and I'm not clearly, but if I was a gangster and in a position such as this, I'd want my own person in as chief executive. Or I'd see the appointment of the chief executive as a money-making opportunity. I'd perhaps get my hands on the short list of candidates and see which one of them wants to slip me £50,000 or a percentage of the salary every month. That's the sort of things these gangsters do, isn't it? Her position is really untenable. It doesn't matter she got in for 4 years. So we move on to how we can hold her to account. You can write with a freedom of information request, but you don't get anything out of that in relation to this. You can complain to the council standards, but Paul Bentwistle will bury it and it'd be a year. Remember what happened with, what's his name? Sean Fielding. The committee never met. He delayed it and delayed it. Raise it with your own councillors as a concern, and you should do. Or you can lobby your councillors, or lobby the independent councillors or the conservative councillors and say, we want a motion of no confidence in Oldham Council. A motion of no confidence with the unscheduled leaving departure of the chief executive, the national scandal of the council leader, the ongoing leaking of information to a malicious blogger and proven liar, etc., etc., etc. All trust in this council has been lost by the public. Now, my understanding is that these motions, to put forward a motion, you now only need 2 councillors, someone to propose it and someone to second it. Well, there's at least 3 independent councillors you can trust. There's probably another 3 conservatives who will work with you at the very least. And do you know why it's important? Because we set our stall out from the beginning. If Abdul Jabbar, who sat next to her, if Marie Bashforth, who sat behind her, if Sam Al-Hamdani and Howard Sykes, if they are there, they have to vote one way or another on whether they support Arooj Shah's tenure as the council leader. This council, whether they have confidence in this council with everything going on. And I know what I'll do next May. If Stephen Bashforth votes in support of Arooj Shah, then he's voting in support of Irish IME. They're inseparable, aren't they? And we will use that to campaign. Convicted heroin dealer, cocaine dealer, steroid dealer, Viagra dealer, violent criminal. We will flood Royton South with leaflets of Stephen Bashforth and Marie Bashforth openly supporting Arooj Shah and Irish IME. The same with Ross Birch in Waterhead. The same with Eddie Moores in Chadderton North. Same with Ruji Sultan in Coldest. And Elaine Taylor in Chadderton Central. You can see what we'll do. We'll make them choose right at the beginning whether they support what's going on here. And you won't reply, Julie, because I think he won't reply because he's a coward. But he'll have to vote. And then we just need 5 councillors to stick their hands up in total to have a recorded vote. And then we'll all know which side they stand on. They either endorse Arooj Shah and her leadership through her connection with Irish IME, that an Oldham cop killer's getaway driver, and he's not rehabilitated, irrespective of what she says. He was convicted the day she was elected. His most recent conviction was the day she was elected. They're not going to engage with you privately. So we force a motion. And remember, Lynn, the Conservatives sent Arooj Shah flowers. But if I had any political sway, it would be for the first council meeting a motion of no confidence put forward and worded in such a way that Dr. Chauhan, Arooj Shah's keen and similarly Pakistani supporter, from Alexander Ward, which is just the overspill of Glodwick, if you know Park Road. Glodwick, you know what I call Glodwick's on the left and Alexander Ward is on the right. It's all Glodwick to me. A carefully worded motion will absolutely set the next 12 months out. Steve Bashforth is either going to object to Arooj Shah and her relationship, whatever that relationship with Irish Shimmy, or he's supportive of it. Same with Mirpuri Bashforth, same with Abdul Jabbar, same with all of them. Interesting to see which side the Liberal Democrats fall, and be interesting to see which side not just the Saddleworth Conservatives fall on, but more so the new Hollingwood Conservatives, who are all three of them are Pakistani. But we will know, won't we? So that's my first recommendation, if there was a recommendation. You've got to start this work straight away, because the first council meeting's next month. What a way to announce themselves. If Mark Hints and Maggie Hurley proposed and seconded it and put forward a motion, what a way. I've ignored FIP, Gary, because I think FIP will vote with Arooj Shah. I think FIP will vote with Arooj Shah. I'm going to get onto a series of photographs I want to use, but I think FIP will vote with Arooj Shah. I want Dr. Chauhan to read out a series of public questions. And in the public questions, you can, as the member of the public, raise concerns and ask for clarification on the nature of the relationship between any councillor and someone else. And if Chauhan rejects that question, well, there's your answer there. If Harry Caffrell or Paul Entwistle tries to block it, well, there you go. You don't need to attend the July meeting for you to be effective. You can either choose to see a brick wall in front of you and go and find a brick wall to run into, or you can work out the landscape in front of you and navigate it. It's what we've done for the last 4 or 5 years. It's why we've been so effective. You can call them names. It's not going to get you anywhere. You can bash on your keyboard and call people names if you want, mate. It's going to get you absolutely nowhere. But you can hold them to account by challenging them, playing by their rules and knowing their rules better than they do, and holding them to account. You voted in the independents. You supported the independents. Pick up the phone and speak to them. I have no influence over these people other than providing them with support. They're your councillors. Pick up the phone and speak to the... Yvonne Eriksson here, usually, I don't know if she's watching or not. Pick up the phone, Yvonne. You voted for the Conservatives in Hollingwood, and you're just right that you did. But pick up the phone and ask them. Will they be supportive of a motion of no confidence in Arooj Shah's council? Ask Cameron Guffaw. Because I'm uneasy with the relationship between Cameron Guffaw and Arooj Shah. And I want to see whether he can separate business from his personal Pakistani politics. I think it'd be an important indicator on whether these people are genuine Conservatives or just Conservatives by proxy. Because if you remember, in Hollingwood Ward, all 3 of the Labour seats were held by white people. And not a single Asian Labour candidate had got a look in. All 3 seats had been held by white people. And race is significant in this town. Did they get in because they're Conservatives? Or did they get in to teach the Labour Party a lesson for not allowing Asians to be candidates in Hollingwood? I don't know the answer to that. I only have questions there. But I would be submitting a series of coordinated public questions. Now let's have a look at Arooj Shah's priorities. If you're finding value, and hello to Jay from Halifax, who's joined us to say hello. Hi, Jay. I like Halifax, Jay. Don't ruin it for me by saying it's rubbish. The council leader sets out her priorities. So let's have a look at her priorities. Let's try and be fair to Arooj Shah. A series of posts on social media, Councillor Shah said, "What a week. I'm proud to be back as leader of Oldham Council with a clear plan to improve the lives of people and to invest in areas they care about." The priorities include the expansion of Don't Trash Oldham. That's when the council pays £1 million to go and clean up areas that people then just carry on dumping rubbish in again. That Don't Trash Oldham, yeah. The implementation of the economic review from 2022, and that review is a piece of, yes, garbage. And I'll do a piece on the economic review from 2022, if that's what our priority is, and the implementation of the economic review. And the introduction of community councils. Now, why she's come up with community councils is those of you who've seen us campaigning over the last 2 years or so have seen us pushing the idea of townships, delegated local councils, real power backed to local people, local chief executives, delegated budgets, ring-fenced, and the stopping of siphoning money from Saddleworth, Royton, Chadderton to Glodwick, to Coldhurst, to Medlock Vale. Well, not Medlock Vale, Coppice, Werneth. Yeah, you know what I mean. You all know what I mean. And no, it's not racist, because this is what the Ritchie report over 20 years ago acknowledged was taking place in this town. Some areas prioritised over others. She also said the council would deliver on its plan for the town centre. In particular, a theatre on Union Street. Well, first of all, stop calling it a theatre. It's not a theatre. It's a performance space. So it's not a theatre. It doesn't have the requisite facilities for it to be a theatre. It's a performance space. And it was never set out to replace Oldham Coliseum, because it was announced independently and separately and prior to the closure of Oldham Coliseum. And that's just an outright deceit. It is hoped the operator will be one which produces its shows in-house. Yeah, I'll believe that when I see it. She added, mostly we'll be celebrating and promoting all of the wonderful, unique and distinct areas of the town in the borough and representing and working for all its residents. #Love Oldham. I have absolutely no idea what that millennial, and she's too old to be a millennial, garbage sentence means. Mostly we'll be celebrating and promoting all of the wonderful, unique and distinct areas and towns in the borough and representing and working for all of its residents. Let's have a look at how some of her pictures have looked like. Here is a man called Aftab Sharif. Alhamdulillah, with Allah's blessings, we won. She is celebrating all of the towns in Oldham and all of the communities, isn't she? It's a very diverse image. Forget the absence in the main of women. Aftab Sharif, Alhamdulillah, Arooj Shah, leader of Oldham Council, Dr. SAHID MUSHTAQ, you can't even spell Shahid's name right, Deputy Leader of Oldham Council at my residence. I think that means it at his house. Oh, is that what makes yours unique, Denise? It doesn't have a chicken shop. Absolutely brilliant. Great. I mean, just look at that photograph of her. Here's another one. With leader and deputy leader Oldham Council, and they're all sat there. This is, I think, immediately after, or the day after. Now, why am I picking on Aftab Sharif? Aftab might wonder. I think I'm very good friends with his younger brother, Imtiaz Sharif. I went to his wedding. What was her number one priority? Don't trash Oldham. Not me. Her number one priority was don't trash Oldham. Yeah, she wrote it, published in the Oldham Times. Oldham Times. Dirty dozen face justice, 17th of December 2018. Look at those pictures. Dirty Dozen by Nick Jackson. Some 12 residents who dumped waste illegally have been successfully prosecuted. Aftab Sharif of Glenfield Close pleaded guilty to fly tipping after his waste was found dumped on a bridle path off Clarksfield Road. He was fined £184 and £431 in costs and a £30 victim surcharge. Councillor Arooj Shah, Deputy Leader of Oldham Council and Cabinet Member for Neighbourhood Services, said it's shameful that residents think that they can get away with leaving rubbish on our streets or not clearing up after themselves properly. I agree. Arooj! We're on the same page. I agree. It's shameful that residents think they can get away with leaving rubbish on our streets or not clearing up after themselves properly. Here is Arooj Shah at Aftab Sharif's residency. Of course, it could be a completely different Aftab Sharif, but I've checked the postcodes and the addresses and checked with my sources. I think it's another question, don't you? Another question. Well, if he is the same guy, come on, what's he done? It's not like it's destroyed lives. It's not like he sold heroin, because that has destroyed lives. It's not like he sold cocaine. It's not like he assisted a cop killer. What's a bit of garbage in comparison? Do you see how it horribly gets wrong? There it goes, how it horribly goes wrong. The Oldham Chronicle haven't given up on Amanda Chadderton being cheated out of the election. And they came up with this bizarre tweet that I wanted to rip to pieces. In Oldham, where council leader Amanda Chadderton lost her seat by 21 votes, 198 people were turned away from polling stations, but 136 came back later with accepted ID, meaning that 62 people unable to vote in the end. So she lost by 21 votes and 62 people in Oldham couldn't vote or didn't return to vote. Well, those 62 people were not from Royton South, were they? You muppets at the Oldham Cron. So desperate to force their agenda on them, the 62 people who didn't vote from across the town, or didn't come back to vote because they didn't have the ID, they all weren't from Royton South, and there's nothing to suggest 21 of them were from Royton South, but they tried forcing that. Tried forcing that on you. The stupidity, did he say stupidity, Gary? Here is Fez Hussain, and in the picture is Akil Salamat, councillor for Glodwick. Untouchable, fireworks. How many of you have been plagued by fireworks at night? How many of you have been plagued by fireworks? I see this, the genuine frustration and how it's affecting people's lives. Sound of fireworks regularly throughout the night, throughout the year. Here is Akil Salamat, untouchable, with his fireworks behind him, celebrating his election victory. What sort of example is the untouchable Akil Salamat setting? Surely that is a standards complaint. Surely that is a standards complaint. If you're finding value in this transmission, please consider buying me a coffee, liking, sharing. These transmissions are only possible with your community funded. My work is funded by you in its entirety. I'm not a liar for hire. In fact, I'm not for hire at all in that way. So I put all my content out for the last year or so. It's been completely free. And I well, it's affected my ability to carry on, but I've still put it out completely free. So if you find value in these transmissions, at the very least, like and share. Many Oldhamers are banned from the I Love Oldham Facebook page. It's done intentionally. Using Operation Hexagon, they went and found people on social media who weren't even posting on the I Love Oldham, who were critical of the council, and they blocked them. What they've done, if it ever tested legally, you'd find to be unlawful. You know, if there ever was a judicial review on any of this, or the government ever intervened, the actions of Oldham Council in censoring the members of its own public from expressing their views and opinions on social media, not breaking any rules, not swearing, anything like that, not abusive. What the council have done, the preemptive actions of the council, these are preemptive actions. It's Stasi-like. I wasn't at all surprised when I saw Oldham Council put up this advert about the market. An Irish image pops along with a post. So whilst they're banning you, members of the public, from commenting on the Oldham page, I Love Oldham page, Irish image can happily post. This is the Irish image who's FUCK the Tories and has been targeting Conservative candidates in the lead up to the election, who was convicted only weeks ago. Strange how people who haven't got a clue comment on posts, because Irish Immy clearly has a clue, having spent most of his adult life in prison. I speak to several market traders regularly. What do you supply them with would be my question. Who welcome the new relocation? And look who likes it. Jeremy M.T. Sutcliffe. So the issue there, for me, there are two issues there. One is that Oldham Council banned members of the public from posting on their Facebook page. Members of the public who've never said a single word on that page that could in any way be deleted or abusive or anything like that. Preemptive simply because they don't like who they are, but they entertain the convicted heroin dealing getaway driver of an Oldham cop killer. That's the first thing I find offensive. The second thing I find genuinely offensive is Jeremy M.T. Sutcliffe, who is a governor at Hume Grammar School. Hume Grammar School. He's a governor. This is the governor of Hume Grammar School openly endorsing a heroin dealer. Convicted heroin dealer. Any of you send your children to Hume Grammar School? This man is a governor of your school openly fraternizing with a convicted heroin dealing getaway driver of a cop killer. Of course, Jeremy M.T. Sutcliffe is also a past election agent of JIM McMAHON. And that's this man, the Deputy Chief Executive. Pakistani, imported in from Blackburn, I think, with Harry Caffrell. Many congratulations to Arooj Shah being re-elected as leader of Oldham Council at annual council today. Council officers should not be doing this. Nor should council officers be taking photographs with politicians such as Fida Hussein. Or any politicians taking selfies. Again, it's not done. It's not the done thing. Fida Hussein is looking very smart for a reason. He's now on the cabinet. He's actually made it onto the cabinet. She's the leader. So the cabinet controls the town. Yeah, there's 9 of them. They control the town. Every decision is made by the cabinet. They have committees, but it's mainly the cabinet. Each of the cabinets chairs one of the committees. Yeah. Labour leader Arooj Shah, cabinet member for reform and regeneration. So that's what she's took. Abdul Jabbar is on the cabinet. He's not the deputy leader anymore, but he still keeps hold of finance and corporate resources. Shahid Mushtaq is the cabinet member for children and education. So he's the deputy. He's also the cabinet member for children and young people. Barbara Brownridge, the cabinet member for health and social care. Mohan Halley is a cabinet member for education and skills. Chris Goodwin, cabinet member for neighbourhoods. Elaine Taylor, cabinet member for housing and regeneration. Peter Dean, cabinet member for communities and culture. And last, you can see his name there, Councillor Fida Hussein, cabinet member for business, employment and enterprise. There have been many questions asked about Fida Hussein over the years. He was a taxi driver. back during the time of Shabir Ahmed. I think someone should ask Feeder if he worked with him or not. I'm not sure. Those of you who've asked me, I'm not sure. I can't tell you yes or no. But he was a taxi driver or on the taxis around the time of Shabir Ahmed. Remember, Shabir Ahmed was a Labour Party member. Fida Hussain was also, it's reported in the Manchester Evening News, he was also arrested, later released, but arrested for, I think it was money laundering. And it is in Fida's ward, Werneth, where that ongoing scandal is taking place around that property, that building site, the Community Land Trust that JIM McMAHON signed off, the asset transfer to one director. And then the council later admitted that they'd not even received all the money. And it all went belly up. Something very, very shady has gone on there, I think. It needs the National Crime Agency investigating. If I'm honest with you, it needs the National Crime Agency investigating. I will do a piece on it at some point in the year. A lot of people have been swindled out of their money. So that is the first council meeting. The mayor had his mayoral ceremony. The thing with the mayoral ceremony was overshadowed by this tweet. And again, I didn't put the tweet out. A man called David Atherton put this tweet out. He's a journalist of sorts. He's all right, David. He's a decent bloke. The mayor of Oldham Council is ZAHID CHAUHAN. CHAUHAN ZAHID, he has stopped Christian prayers before council meetings, does not want a public inquiry into rape gangs, and complained about online hate whilst calling Sajid Javid a coconut. He CCs me in it. You can see, I mean, when I took this screen grab, it was 411 retweets and 10,000 views. Last time I looked at it, it was well over 20,000 views. And again, I think that's another public question. It's another public question that you submit, or someone submits, around the cancelling of prayers. And for those of you who've asked me, I don't know, ask him. Would he have done it if the prayers had been Muslim prayers? My position is I don't think he would. He'd not replace them with stories. The vast majority of Muslim events I go to this day are still opened by prayers. You'll have to look him in the face and ask him and see what his response is. I can only speculate. But it's not been a good start. The chief executive has done a runner. The priorities she set out, Arooj Shah set out, the don't trash Oldham. It appears that one of the men she's celebrating her victory alongside is a very man who's been convicted, fined for trashing Oldham. The mayor's cancelled prayers. The deputy chief executive is busy taking selfies. In fact, most people don't know what he does. You look at his Twitter account, all he seems to be doing is going to functions and taking photographs. Maybe that's his role. Go to Asian functions and take photographs. Does neighbourhood level townships or whatever they're producing. An economic strategy she wants implementing. When her game changer, Lidl and Travel Lodge, from when she was last council leader, have run away, refused to build her. The town's in a complete mess. The town's in a complete mess. And there does need to be a motion of no confidence in this council, and the government should be called in to intervene. They have to intervene. And it's now up to councillors to stand up and demand that the government come in and intervene. Arooj Shah and her team want to promote this working together nonsense. You'd be crazy. You'd be crazy. Or you'd be Brian Hoban and his FIP team. You'd be Brian Hoban and his FIP team. I'm interested to see what deal Brian Hoban and his fellow FIP councillors can get for this Arooj Shah's township model, and whether they can secure positions for themselves. Talking of securing positions for yourselves, Oldham Hume Grammar School, 2 places, Howard Jeremy Sutcliffe is a governor. Southern Pennine Rural Regeneration Company, formerly Pennine Prospects. There's one place, and Abdul Jabbar has been put forward for it. You can see. Unique rural regeneration company that aims to promote, protect and enhance the built natural and cultural heritage of the South Pennines. So Abdul Jabbar represents Coldhurst, which is is not a rural in any way. But you've got to read the small print. There's a £9,000 stipend payment for sitting on this committee. It meets 4 times a year. That's £2,500, give or take, for each meeting you attend. Your money, people. It's your money. Speaking of money, I've got to share this because I found it funny. Neil Willaboobies has set up a Buy Me a Coffee page. His coffees cost £5. Okay, this is what we're going to do. Back to being serious. This is what we're going to do. We've got to run them ragged for the next 12 months in the council chamber and expose them for what they are. We've got to capacity build and support the councillors we've supported together, and we've got to encourage the councillors who, for their own political futures, it's the right thing to do. I'm on about the Oldham Conservatives there, really. Mark, Maggie will make mistakes. There are people, we put them down, we stand by them. At the same time, we've got to grow and continue growing the opposition. We've got to help Mark Wilkinson and his team in Failsworth West and provide them with whatever support they need to re-establish themselves and take on Hoban and his team in the East. Likewise, in Chadderton South, where we lost Robert Barnes and Warren Bates did a great job with 500, 600 votes. There's an appetite there for a councillor. Independent, Conservative, I'm not sure, but there's an appetite there. Someone of that community needs to come forward, and we need to then support them, because Chadderton South will fall. With the right candidate, Chadderton South will fall. We need to support the Royton Independents and the Shaw and Crompton Independents, because they'll take another seat each next year. We need to help bash some heads together between the Conservatives and some Independents, particularly in St James, and try and get the Conservatives to support Amoy and Amoy likewise to come to some decisions on how she effectively campaigns moving forward. We knocked on doors, I knocked on doors, same as Dean, many of you. And what's clear is we can convince people to vote for us. That's not a problem. We've took seats all over the place. But what I find disingenuous is knocking on doors come election time. We should be knocking on doors and campaigning all year. We should be taking on casework even though we're not councillors. We should be working together, meeting regularly. This is now serious. This is no longer some sort of disruption exercise. We are fighting to govern our town, to take over the governance of our town. And we're very, very close. The 2 seats will fall. Labour will lose 2 seats next May. They'll lose more. And this will go against national trend. And Arooj Shah will, if she's still here, because I do genuinely believe her position is untenable. If she's still here, she will be the Labour Party leader in which they lost Oldham Council, control of Oldham Council. They had 45, 46 seats when we started this. They could do what they wanted, where they wanted, how they wanted, and with who they wanted. Now even their own people want nothing to do with them. But in the meantime, if you find value in these transmissions, please like, please share. I hope you found value in what I bring, and I'll see you during the week. Thank you very, very much. I'll see you all soon.
Do not fear them. Do not fear any of them.